What is the environmental assessment for commercial wind lease issuance offshore Oregon? The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, or BOEM, is the lead federal agency for the planning, leasing, and authorization of offshore energy development on the nation's outer continental shelf, the seafloor that lies beyond state coastal waters, typically 3 miles from the coastline. BOEM does not build offshore wind projects. Rather, BOEM identifies areas, called wind energy areas, on the outer continental shelf that may be suitable for offshore wind energy development, following extensive engagement and feedback from the state, tribes, local residents, ocean users, federal government partners, and other members of the public. The final wind energy areas are based on reducing potential conflicts of ocean users, particularly on commercial fishing. So, where are we in the process? Using the National Centers for Coastal Ocean Sciences spatial planning capabilities, BOEM has identified 2 wind energy areas off Oregon. The Coos Bay Wind Energy Area is just over 61,000 acres and is about 32 miles offshore. The Brookings Wind Energy Area covers approximately 133,000 acres and is about 18 miles offshore. Importantly, these wind energy areas exclude 98% of the areas identified as important commercial fishing grounds. But just because BOEM designated the wind energy areas doesn't mean that these areas will be leased and that offshore wind projects will be built there. Before holding a lease sale, BOEM must analyze the potential environmental impacts of issuing a lease. And if BOEM decides to hold a lease auction, the winning company will only have the right to gather information on the lease area and submit a project proposal to BOEM for review. The proposal must contain the specifics of the project, results of their information gathering, and other requirements. BOEM will assess the potential impacts of the proposal before any construction can occur. That is why BOEM is developing an environmental assessment under the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, for these 2 wind energy areas. So, what is NEPA? NEPA is a federal law that requires federal agencies to assess the environmental effects of proposed actions before making any decisions. The NEPA process includes determining the purpose and need of the proposed action, identifying potential environmental effects, coordinating with tribal, federal, state, and local governments, providing opportunities for public comment, documenting the analysis and decisions. The environmental assessment examines how 3 specific actions BOEM authorizes may impact the environment. Lease issuance. This is the administrative paperwork required to issue a lease. Site assessment. This involves placing meteorological buoys to gather essential data. Site characterization. This involves conducting data gathering through surveys to comprehensively understand the characteristics of proposed sites. No projects are proposed at this phase. The environmental assessment analyzes potential impacts associated with issuing a commercial renewable energy lease within the wind energy areas. If BOEM issues a lease, and if the developer proposes a specific project, the project will require further and more extensive environmental impact analysis. BOEM is actively seeking comments on the site assessment and site characterization activities described in the draft Wind Energy Areas Environmental Assessment. The public comment period is open now, and we encourage you to review the draft assessment and let us know what you think. As you prepare your comments, it's very helpful to keep the following questions in mind. Does the assessment provide accurate information? Does the assessment accurately describe the potential impacts? Does the assessment use the correct methodologies and assumptions? Is there anything missing in the assessment? You can share your insights about the environmental considerations of a potential lease issuance in our upcoming virtual public meeting, or by submitting your comments on regulations.gov or by U.S. mail. You can learn more about the Oregon Environmental Assessment at www.boem.gov/OregonEA.